barf.
And
here we go.
Everybody, join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.
final.
Everybody,
Dancing.
join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.
Finale.
Everybody, join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.
Ace to base. Dubs, Walsh, Jimmy B, and Wong of Atlanta.
Woo! Club
go.
World Cup on Footy Prime. Welcome. We've got a special guest, Asa Rehman, joining us to talk all about his favorite club, Chelsea, as they face PSG in the big final happening on Sunday, which you can watch for free on DAZN. You want to know how to spell it? It's DAZN. So it's not too late to subscribe. Yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's Jimmy B. He's also here. We've got Wonger avec une bière froide and also JC Plus. No Pie Man today, although he might call in to defend himself because he referred to Chelsea's last season or the continuation of this current season as the lost season. So Asa, before we launch into a preview of this big final in the Club World Cup happening on Sunday, how would you grade? And we understand that this comes with some baggage and some bias because you yourself are a Chelsea fan. How would you grade Chelsea's 2024-2025 campaign?
I would say it was a successful season because they met expectations. They didn't exceed expectations, but I think coming into the season, it was finishing top four, winning Conference League because that's what was available for them, and they did that. I think, anything more would have been exceeding expectations, mostly because of where they've come from, and some good pieces in place. Still a very young team, but still sort of climbing. And I think the expectations would be higher going into next season. But for what they, I think, set out to do this past season, and then what they accomplished, I think they did it. It wasn't easy finishing in the top four. I think that was a battle. They knew it. They were holding first place parts of the first part of the season and asked about, actually making a run for that. And they quickly silenced that, just said, we're not exactly there yet. And they're not. They weren't in position to contend for the title last year. But I think that going into next season, they're a little bit closer. And then the expectations going into next year is probably finishing in the top two. And we'll see how they do with that.
How excited are you about your new striker?
Depends when you ask me, because the new striker a couple weeks ago was Liam Delap, and ordered that jersey. Not actually, but when all of a sudden João Pedro, it's like, oh wait, now I need this one. He looks awesome, incredible, right? And that's the toughest position in every league at every level to find that person, right? Debatable, like, toughest position to play. But as far as having that, like, talisman, that striker that delivers consistently, so hard to find in every league. So the fact that he's potentially it, I think, gives him a real boost going into next year, which is why the expectation should be higher. And that's a good thing to look at going into last year. I think Nicholas Jackson was very good and getting better, but not there. So we'll see. We'll see how next season works out for them.
And in terms of the Bowley Clear Lake Consortium, however you pronounce that word, they finally qualified for the Champions League for the first time under that ownership, right?
Yeah. And
then the aforementioned strikers in Delap and who was again? João Felix?
Pedro.
Yeah.
So close. Yeah. So close.
You were on holiday. We forgive you.
I know. But with their haul here in the Club World Cup, Wonger mentioned it before we pressed record, it's up to
82.7 million pounds.
Right.
So, I mean, that's a little bit of cake with all of their being fined and all that kind of stuff, but it kind of makes up for some of this, doesn't it?
This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, or trying to allude to is that you've got your two acquisitions there that not only Marasca's had a chance to blood and kind of get worked into his system that he wants these guys to play and get them acclimated to his style of football. But from an ownership perspective, you've almost paid for those two, right? And then you still have to deal with the fines from a profitability and sustainability perspective. But I think as a Liverpool fan, just to shift back to that before we get into the final, I think that like overwhelmingly my thought was, I think the criticism on the season was that it was without drama, that it was going to be Liverpool at the end. But when I thought about Chelsea, I thought uneven, but I thought you have to weigh the two things, is what you were just talking about, Asa, is that they qualify for Champions League, they win the Conference League, they get some silverware, and they get the confidence to kick on from there for the season, right? To build on it. You get these key signings that have already made an instant impact, but then it also had almost equal parts lows, right? Where they were knocked out of the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup by Brighton and Newcastle. And then remember that stretch where I think they were at its most bleak between like holiday times, like Christmas time and end of February, where they won just 2 of 10 Prem games. So I think that long stretch clouds my perception of Chelsea this last season. But I think overwhelmingly, and again, the caveat being a Liverpool fan, I think that it was successful. And I think that silverware at the end helped to do that. And their form at the end, doing it when it was required, when it was necessary, helped them to do that. And they'll be able to build on that, won't they?
You hope so. I mean, as a Chelsea supporter, you hope so. But I do think that you need to take those steps, right, and build on it, and gain that confidence as well. And you guys have talked about it on this show, how important it is when you talked about like the Canadian men's national team and the fact that they don't have that silverware. I think that that's important. And this group is now winning some things, and hopefully that. That sets them up for success going into next season, because you're right, that was a real down period. And it's really tough to get out of that, right? To understand that and still believe that you're very good, you have the talent, because all the money you spend aside, you still have to get it done with the 11 players on the pitch at a given time. But now it seems like that belief is there, and and they can build off of it. And hopefully a couple more pieces here to push them forward.
I'm not one to pat myself on the back here.
I was going to.
And yet, here it comes.
Not one to do that. Not one to blow my own horn here, but
you prefer the front.
Yeah, about a year and a bit ago, I talked about this Chelsea squad. Did I not?
You did.
And everybody was hammering them, and I said, "This Chelsea team is going to be unbelievable. Give it time.
Yeah,
a couple more pieces, and this team is going to be an absolute contender." And I think going into this season in the Premier League, I think they can win it. They got the squad. I mean, the way that they're playing right now, where this team is, I think they're in a very, very good space. And I'm watching Neto, Fernandes, Caicedo, Palmer, and Nkunku. It's like unbelievable team that they have, and they're all coming together at the moment right now.
Yeah, and I think it's so important that they have this success as well, because you know that it breeds confidence, right? And even this Club World Cup run, I think, is so good for this group. It's a really young group, all under 28, I believe, like just a really young core. Yeah. So the fact that they can kind of gel here is a really positive sign. And it's great that they kept it all together, because that's another thing that Sharm's mentioned at some point. He said Maresca was on the hot seat, I think. And I'm like, I don't know if that was ever really the case, because this team's performed so well. It's just the fact that they've kind of, weathered the storm when times were a little bit bleak, and stayed together, on this path. And it's great that they made the Champions League and now this Club World Cup. If they manage to somehow beat the greatest team of all time
in any era ever,
where does that put Chelsea if they could somehow?
Okay, well, here's a question then, Asa. What does they're a 4-1 underdog, Chelsea to PSG. So bet $1, win $4, basically right now. What does a Chelsea win on the pitch look like on Sunday? And I'll ask Dubs and Jimmy what a PSG looks like.
This is really interesting, because this PSG team has been incredible to watch. And Dubs, you talked about it on one of the recent shows, just how entertaining it is. Like, sometimes you get this team, or if it's one side, you don't care for it. But what they did to Real Madrid was just mind blowing. Like, it didn't make sense to me. That's a great Real Madrid team.
But
And they
in
just walked them
24
off the
minutes,
It's
Asa.
wild to see it
Yeah.
play out in real time. And it play out in real time. And it looks like they couldn't get close. It looked like the Madrid players couldn't get close to anyone with PSG. So, yeah, what does it look like?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I imagine they'll sit back, defend, which I haven't seen Chelsea do a lot of, in recent months.
So you're saying they're going to be boring?
Yeah, maybe, but because I don't know, like, you don't want to get in a foot race with PSG, so maybe you have to play this game boring. But yeah, Pedro in fine form right now, Cole Palmer, and maybe you take your chances in transition with some of the pace that Chelsea has. So just dial it back to the Drogba days and sit back and then hit on the counter and see what you can do.
It's interesting though. So like Maresca's uses Club World Cup to experiment, not only integrate the new guys, but like really establish, like Jimmy's talking about, lots of youth, lots of promise, lots of individual parts that are brilliant, but now they're starting to mesh and to look like a team, right? Yeah. So you've got Palmer, who's back in his favored right half space. Like, look, that's where he looks like he's most at home after a brief spell on the opposite side. But like, this is like a team that wants to play, or Maresca wants them to play, this methodical, short passing game where they're possessing the ball and they're trying to dictate and control that way. Will they be able to do that against a PSG? And also to your point about trying to go quick, like they've scored 6 of their goals in this tournament from fast breaks, highest in a competition, with Pedro Neto, who I'm a big fan of as well, scoring 3 of them. So how do you think tactically, Jimmy, Chelsea set up? Because they have to be taking into account like the talent, the tactics, what they're trying to do, and they're going to have to adjust if they have a hope in this contest, don't they?
I think if I'm Chelsea right now, I'm looking at this squad, and yeah, you're playing against PSG. You've got to show your respect, obviously, but I think Chelsea's going to go at them. I think they feel that they can match them toe to toe, and I think it's going to be a heavyweight battle here. I think I can't see Chelsea bunkering in. It's just not their style, not at all. I think they want to be on the front foot, and I think this game is going to be won with a midfield battle and who can control the match.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one, but I can't see Palmer, Neto, and all these players, just sitting back and defending. Mm-hmm. I think they'll lose their minds. They'll be like, no, we've got to get on this ball. We're going to play, and we're going to go toe to toe here. Now, if I'm Chelsea, I'm going toe to toe. I'm thinking, let's play. We know you're a good side, but watch what we can do right now.
And if you're PSG,
they're going to stick to their game plan. They're going to be. They want to possess the game. They want to attack-minded football. Their movements are interchanging. Yeah, they're going to do that, but I can't see Chelsea not trying to go toe-to-toe, match their energy and work rate.
The other interesting thing when Chelsea's had success with in recent months is sending the fullbacks forward and getting Cucurella kind of inverted and getting into the box. I wonder how much they'll do that, because then that's getting your defenders so far up the park, and I can't see them really doing that against PSG because PSG hit so quick on the counter. Yeah. So I'm curious to see how they approach that, like how far the defenders get up the park, which is such a big part of their success as well.
Most times when the fullback's coming inside, it's to overload the middle to control it.
Right.
Yeah. That's why they end up coming inside, right? Because you want to control that midfield battle. So that's why they're coming in. But I'd imagine both sides at times are going to try to both overload it because they want control of the game. They want to possess.
Yeah.
But both of them aren't, it's not one of them where they care about they got 80% possession. They want certain moments of the match that they're going to control, for that attacking moment that they're going to have. Their objective is, okay, listen, this is how we're going to exploit them. We're going to get into these areas, but we need control here in order to get into there.
Yeah.
Right. So, it's going to be a great tactical match. 100% it will be.
For sure. Have to tune into that. I think 3 p.m. kickoff. But another stat, and this is from Opta, they're saying the beginning of the game is going to be a critical piece for how the game goes and for the result in the final and for who wins, because PSG have scored 10 first half goals in this Club World Cup. Only Bayern had more, but Chelsea have not conceded a first half goal in this year's tournament. So it's not only a clash of styles and maybe two teams, as you're suggesting, Jimmy, that nobody's going to be pragmatic. Everybody's going to want to go and just stick to their guns and what they do well. So I hope for that for a final, right? You want these two teams who are playing very, very well. I think Chelsea probably had, and maybe AC, you can disagree with me here if you like, maybe an easier draw, especially in the knockouts. But I think PSG just, again, as you said off the top, and we've said on the show, looking like the best team in the world right now. So interesting to see how it all kicks off. But you can, again, watch that on DAZN this Sunday. And again, the final being played at MetLife Stadium, which is also going to host the World Cup final next year.
Wow.
So looking forward to that. Anything else you guys wanted to add before we
just
wrap it up?
One last thing. I know how much Sharms is missed on this podcast today, but even more because he will be going. He's so excited about the final because J Balvin, Doja Cat, and Thames are going to be opening in the final. And you know how he loves that stuff. Loves it.
I do not know who those people are.
I don't either. I know Doja Cat. That's not good. I've heard
that's one of his new pies, Doja Cat.
I'm not gonna look at myself for that racist kind of sitting out there.
So cheers for watching and listening. Like, subscribe, especially our YouTube, and don't forget to sign up and watch the game for free. If it's the only match you've watched, sign up, DAZN, check it out on Sunday.
Thanks Asa's base.
Yeah, thanks Asa. Thanks so much for hopping on and giving us your Chelsea perspective.
So fun.
Thanks, guys.
Everybody, join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.
Dos. Finale. I have no idea what that means.
Everybody, join the club.
Finals.
It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.
They have a tequila sponsor.
Everybody, join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.
Get your stray cat pies from Sharman's product.
Oh, shit. That's not good for marketing.
No.
That's not going to be good for anybody.
Thanks Asa.